Test mic, test mic. Test mic, test mic.
I can hear destiny calling, calling out my name. Failure and dreams both offering change. Surrender offers rest, but I die for peace. Don't need your protection, don't need no shield. Now watch me bleed. Now watch me bleed. Now watch me bleed. Now watch me bleed. Winds of life are blowing, it brings doubt like rain. But I would roar like thunder, and I would storm like hail. A rise and fall, both beckoning. For change, but I need a pool of lightning and embrace the pain, embrace the pain. Now watch me bleed. Now watch me bleed. Watch me bleed. Now watch me bleed. I will just survive. Freedom is near, I choose to thrive. I will live full force, never on my knees. I will smash the door if I can't find the keys. I will not back down, I will not yield. Just like William Wallace, I need no shield. I am different, I am not the same. 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 I'm different, I am not the same. I am not the same. I am not the same. both offering change. Surrender offers rest, but I die for peace. Don't need your protection, don't need no shield. Now watch me bleed, now watch me bleed, now watch me bleed, now watch me bleed. The winds of life are blowing, it brings doubt like rain, but I would roar like thunder, and I would storm like hail. A rise and fall, both beckoning, both offer change, but I need a bolt of lightning and embrace the pain, embrace the pain, embrace the pain. Now watch me feed, now watch me feed, now watch me feed, now watch me feed. Not an option, I will not just survive. Freedom is near, I choose to thrive. I will live full force, never on my knees. I will smash the door if I can't find the keys. I will not back down, I will not yield. Just like William Wallace, I need no shield. I am not the same. I am not the same. I am not the same.
A very good morning to everyone. My name is Shah, your Mister of the ceremony today. Attention to all participants. The program will begin shortly. Please make sure your internet reception is at the best and make yourself comfortable during the viewing. At the end of the session, there will be a question and answer section. To those who have further inquiry, you may state your question in the comment section provided with your full name and your institution. Your cooperation is much appreciated. Thank you. To all participants, please get ready to sing Malaysia National Anthem, Negaraku, and Sultan Idris Education University, Ibu Kandung Suruh Budiman.
kandung suluh budiman, oh budi malam gelap, bina budi penyebar tekad, pancaran semangat wajah. Ibu kandung suluh budiman, ibu pujaan kami, yang berjasa pada masyarakat, hidup gagah berani. Ibu kandung suluh budiman, dengarlah sumpah sumbangsi dan suci. Selagi hayat di kandung badan, kami tetap berbakti. Selagi hayat di kandung badan, kami tetap berbakti.
Greetings to everyone. Madam Diana binti Jumati, Program Advisor, Fellow Program for Story from Program Fellow Advisor, Webinar Celebrating United Empowering Cultural Diversity, Harun Aminurrashid Residential College, Sultan Idris Education University, Ms. Nurul Fahana binti Aini, third year student, Sultan Idris Education University, Malaysia, Mr. Muhammad Iman bin Azhar, first year student, National University of Malaysia, Ms. Safwan Kamila, first year student, Perguruan Tinggi, Polytechnic Aceh, Selatan, Indonesia, Mr. Emmanuel Mirus Esponon, third year student, Darussalim, University of Philippines, Mr. Muhammad Karim Izan bin Haji Bohasan, third year student, University Brunei Darussalim, Brunei, Mr. Cartridges Edwin, Reservoir Cultural Program Leader Award, Sultan Idris Education University Residential College Award 2021 Malaysia, Ms. Nurul Nadira binti Nur Hisham, President Harun Aminurrashid Residential College Student Council, Sultan Idris Education University, Ms. Nuain binti Arifin, Program Director, Webinar Celebrating United Empowering Cultural Diversity, Sultan Idris Education University. First and foremost, let's all praise the Lord for giving us the chance to participate in today's program. For your information, Celebrating United Empowering Cultural Diversity is an international cultural discourse webinar whereby the panelists is from 4 different countries in Southeast Asia, which is Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Brunei. Through this program, it hopes the students are able to encourage unity and tolerance among the people of all walks of life through the cultural element separated. Besides that, through this program also, it holds the students to have an open and rational nature in evaluating issues that are in need of attention. So without further ado, dear participants, to place today's program, let's begin with the recitation of dua.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Without further ado, let us give the floor to our program fellow advisor of webinars celebrating unity empowering cultural diversity, Madam Diana Pinjitumati.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you to the MC for today. Ms. Nurul Farhana binti Aini, third year students, Sultan Idris Education University, Malaysia. Mr. Muhammad Iman bin Azhar, first year students, National University of Malaysia, Malaysia. Ms. Safwa Kamila, first year students, Perguruan Tinggi Politeknik Aceh Selatan, Indonesia. Mr. Emmanuel Miras Esponon, third year students, De La Salle University, Philippines. Mr. Muhammad Karin Izan bin Hassan Haji Bol Hassan, third year students, University Brunei Darussalam, Brunei. Mr. Kaltakias Edwin, Receiver Culture Program Leader Awards, Sultan Idris Education University Residential Colleges Awards 2021, Malaysia. Ms. Nurul Nadira binti Nur Hisham, President Harun Aminurrashid Residential College, Student Council, Sultan Idris Education University. Ms. Nur Ain binti Arifin, Program Director, Webinar Celebrating Unity, Empowering Culture Diversity, Sultan Idris Education University. Fellows and Administration of Harun Aminurrashid Residential College, Presidents and Students Councils of Residential Colleges, Webinar Celebrating Unity, Empowering Cultural Diversity Committee members, and students of higher education institutions in Southeast Asia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh and greetings. Alhamdulillah, let us be grateful because we are able to successfully organize this program together, which is Webinar Celebrating Unity, Engaging Cultural Diversity. Welcome to all invited undergraduate students in the country and abroad, especially our panel guests from abroad who are here with us today. First of all, I would like to say congratulations from the bottom of my heart to the Program Director, Ms. Nur Ain binti Arifin, as a Unity of Integration Bureau of Harun Aminurrashid Residential College for successfully organizing an international program called Webinar Celebrating Unity, Engaging Cultural Diversity. Congratulations also to the Executive Committee, which is the backbone of our program today. Not to forget, I would like to express my deepest appreciation and thanks to all the invited panels from all countries involved. Today we have Ms. Nurul Farhana from Malaysia, Mr. Muhammad Iman also from Malaysia, Ms. Safwa Kamila from Indonesia, Mr. Emmanuel from Philippines, and Mr. Muhammad Karin Izan from Brunei. Thank you again for accepting the invitation to make this program a success. Without your presence, our program today would not have been possible. Through this program, it's hoped that students can gain exposure and knowledge to students of the theory education regarding the diversity and culture shared between different countries. Other than that, through this program also, it's hoped that we can encourage unity and tolerance among people of all walks of life through the cultural elements celebrated. In conclusion, through this program, I hope students can be provided with extensive exposure and open the eyes of students on the similarities of cultures elements that have been shared with other countries such as Indonesia, Brunei, and Philippines. My hope is that this program is carried out every year for residential college student council in every residential college. Before I end my speech, once again, I would like to congratulate all the committee members who have worked hard to make today's program a success. And congratulations should also go to all who made this program a success, either directly or indirectly. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for the honorable speech from our program fellow advisor, Madam Diana Pinjitumati. Dear participants, before we proceed with the main event, I would like to first introduce today's moderator, Mr. Kolej. For your information, Mr. Coltricious Erwin is a Bachelor of Education physically honor student in University Sultan Idris Education University. In the semester 5 as Nobel's third year student, he also has a Vice Secondary Harun Aminurrashid Residential College Student Council, session 2021-2022, Sultan Idris Education University. He also has a former Unity Integration Executive Committee, Harun Aminurrashid Residential College Student Council, session 2020-2021, Sultan Idris Education University. For your information, in 2021, Mr. Carl was the first runner-up for National Principal Debate Competition 2021, second runner-up for Speak with Evidence Public Speaking Competition 2021. In 2020, he was the first runner-up for Cultural Dialogue Competition, Cultural Talk by the Line 2020, and also 2019, he was the second runner-up of International Talk Minister Young is a Gift for Nature 2.0 Public Speaking Competition 2019. So, without further ado, the stage is yours, Mr. Carl.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Thank you for the warm welcome, Mistress of Ceremony, Miss Chia. Hello everyone, good morning. It is currently 9:20 in the morning in Malaysia. I hope you are doing great, wherever you are and whatever you are currently doing while viewing today's program. First thing first, let's take a look at who we have with us in the morning. Madam Diana Binti Jumadi, Program Fellow Advisor, Webinar Celebrating Unity, Empowering Cultural Diversity, Harun Aminurrashid Residential College, Sultan Idris Education University, Miss Nurul Farhana Binti Aini, third year student, Sultan Idris Education University, Malaysia, Mr. Muhammad Iman bin Azhar, first year student, National University of Malaysia, Malaysia, Miss Safwa Kamila, first year student, Perguruan Tinggi Politeknik Aceh Selatan, Indonesia. Mr. Emmanuel Mirus S. Ponon, third year student, di La Salle University, Philippines. Mr. Muhammad Khairin Izan bin Hajibul Hassan, third year student, University Brunei Darussalam, Brunei. Ms. Nurul Nadira binti Nur Hisham, President Harun Aminurrashid Residential College Student Council, Sultan Idris Education University, Ms. Nurain binti Arifin, Program Director, Webinar Celebrating Unity, Empowering Cultural Diversity, Sultan Idris Education University, Fellows and Administration of Harun Aminurrashid Residential College, Presidents and Student Councils of Residential College, Webinar Celebrating Unity, Empowering Cultural Diversity, committee members, and students of higher education institutions in Southeast Asia. I am Carl Patius Edwin, and I will be your moderator for today's program, Webinar Celebrating Unity, Empowering Cultural Diversity. For your information, this program is an international cultural discourse about the importance of celebrating shared cultural elements to encourage unity. The program will be a discussion among 5 panels from 4 different countries, which are Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Brunei. Today's discussion will be revolving based on 3 rounds. In the first round, the panels will introduce themselves. Meanwhile, the focus for the second round will be a sharing from the panels about the cultural elements celebrated in each of the panel's country and also the similarities of the cultural elements celebrated with other countries. In the final round, panels will share ways to empower similarities of cultural diversity from their point of view as an entity and then adjust the suggested ways based on the challenges faced nowadays to enhance unity. Ladies and gentlemen, this is webinar celebrating unity, empowering cultural diversity. Without further ado, let's enter round one, guest panelist introduction. In this round, the panels will introduce themselves so that we can get to know them better. Who knew there might be someone that will make you restless? Straight away, let's get to know our first panel from Malaysia, Mr. Muhammad Iman bin Azhar. The stage is yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Carl, our moderator for the event, for the warm welcome. And I want to take this opportunity to say thank you very much to Unity and Integration Committee of Harun Aminurrashid Residential College, Sultan Idris Education University, or also well known as University Pendidikan Sultan Idris UPSI, the top education university in Malaysia, for inviting me to this webinar and for giving me the opportunity to talk about celebrating unity and empowering cultural diversity. First and foremost, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning, a good greeting, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'm honored to be one of the speaker for this international webinar and get to know a new friend from a different country. And yeah, my name is Muhammad Iman bin Azhar. I am the law student from Faculty of Law, National University of Malaysia, or also well known as University Kebangsaan Malaysia. And I'm also the youth activist that specialize in digital maker division in Malaysia Digital Economic Corporation (AMDEC). Okay, it is a joint public-private academia initiative by AMDEC, Malaysia Digital Economic Corporation, in partnership with Ministry of Education of Malaysia to transform Malaysian youth from a digital user to producer in a digital economy ecosystem. And I'm also the one of the committee of Secretariat Rukun Negara (SRN) in my university, which is it is a movement to raise awareness, especially among the student, to practice the principle of Rukun Negara, our ideology kebangsaan, our national ideology, in a daily life to producing a society that has sense of identity, that open and ethical in line with the federal constitution, or well known as Perlembagaan Persekutuan. And yeah, I'm also a former student from National School, Sekolah Kebangsaan and Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan, the school that has good mix of students from a different ethnic group. And to be honest, I have formed a group bunch of friends that truly embody the principle of Bangsa Malaysia or Keluarga Malaysia. So I had a good experience, good time that give me a lot of meaningful and fun memories and give me a strong foundation from my future. So for today, I would like to share my experience and highlight the importance of unity in diversity in Malaysia and between other countries. So I think that's all for my introduction. I pass back the floor to Carl. Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction about yourself just now, Mr. Iman. Mr. Iman is a youth specialist focusing to empower youth all over Malaysia. Well done, Mr. Iman. All right, moving on to our second panel for today's program, Ms. Safwa Kamila from Indonesia. The floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank God for giving me health so I can attend this Google meeting with you today. And before I introduce myself, I would like to say my greeting for everyone, my Honorable University of UPSI, as the organizer of this webinar, my Honorable the presenter, my Honorable all the participants, and from the various universities, and my Honorable to the audience. Now, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Safwa Kamila. You can call me Wawa or Safwa. I was born in Tapak Tuan City on 12 March 2003. Now my age is 18 years old and my nationality is Indonesia. And I'm currently pursuing my bachelor degree at the Sur Aceh Polytechnic College. And that's just my introduction. I will return to the moderator.
Miss Wawa, or also known as Miss Safwa Kamila, soon to be teacher. Thank you for the introduction just now. Moving on to our third panel for today's program, far from the Philippines, Mr. Emmanuel Mirus S. Ponon. Without further ado, The stage is yours, Mr. Emmanuel.
All right, thank you, Carl. I hope everyone can hear me. Mabuhay from the Philippines. My name is Emmanuel Myros Ponon, and I believe all of us here today are university students. I, for one, am a 20-year-old third-year student that takes up development studies and economics here at De La Salle University in the Philippines. I really don't want to get too much about myself because we're all here to talk about our nations and how our nations, when built together, can really harness the essence and emergence of the importance of unity. You can take a simple Google search, you can take you can look at LinkedIn, but essentially this is my work because besides from being a student, I'm the founder and chairperson of the ASEAN Youth Advocates Network, which is all about unifying our voices for one goal, and that goal is for the sustainable development of all. You may see global awards, you may see national awards, but at the end of it all, it's really all for development. It's for all for the welfare of all mankind. So this, I really hope for a very, very insightful discussion. I hope everyone that is watching via YouTube right now are listening and are not just here for the certificate. And I just really hope for the best for all of us today. All right, thank you. Back to you, Carl.
All right, thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. Salamat po. Thank you for the brief and wonderful introduction just now, Mr. Emmanuel. Ladies and gentlemen, our fourth panel for today's program is from a neighboring country, Brunei, Mr. Muhammad Khairin Izan bin Haji Bol Hassan. The stage is yours, Mr. Khairin.
Thank you, Carl. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to everyone. My name is Muhammad Kairin Izan, and you can call me Kairin. I am from Negara Brunei Darussalam and currently a third year student in University Brunei Darussalam, currently majoring in chemistry or chemical science from the Faculty of Science. Um, Other than academics, I am also the Vice Chief Executive of Executive of Leadership and Innovation, which is an executive under University Brunei Darussalam Students Association. As an executive committee, we focus on the leadership and innovation creative skills of students in University Brunei Darussalam. And other than that, as a side hobby, I like to read and do my research. And that is all as for my introduction. I'll pass the floor back to Carl. Thank you, everyone.
What a wonderful self-introduction just now, Mr. Khairin. Cannot wait to hear from you in the second round later on. Last but not least, Ms. Nurul Farhana binti Aini, our second panel from Malaysia. The floor is yours, Ms. Farhana.
Thank you so much, Carl, for the wonderful introduction, our handsome moderator for today's webinar. Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to be with you guys in this program. My name is Nurul Farhana binti Aini, but you guys can call me Far. I am currently in my third year pursuing Bachelor of Education Chemistry with honors from Faculty of Science and Mathematics at Sultan Idris Education University, also known as UPSI. I am majoring in chemistry and minoring in history. Also, I am a member of Cultural and Arts Executive Committee of Harun Aminurrashid Residential College at UPSI. So that's enough for my educational background. So for my personal background, I am from Kapit, Sarawak, East Malaysia, that is located on the island of Borneo. So my ethnicity that is written on the birth certificate is Melanau, as my dad is Melanau. But actually, I also got C Dayak blood, also known as Iban, because my mom is Iban, Sarawak. So technically, I am half Melanau and half Iban. So in this webinar, I will share and focusing more about my Borneo culture, custom, and tradition. Okay, back to you, Carl.
Ms. Farhana, also soon to be teacher. What an amazing introduction about your background just now. A proud Malaysian from Sarawak, Malaysia. Wow, wow, wow. What a wonderful lineup of panels we have for today's program, which consists of a future lawyer, soon to be teachers, soon to be economists, and also a future chemist. I hope through today's program, viewers are able to gain useful input to be practiced in their daily life. Nonetheless, wherever you are or whatever you are doing while while watching this webinar, be sure to always stay safe from the outbreak that the world is currently facing, COVID-19. Ladies and gentlemen, after getting to know our panel's background in the first round, we shall proceed to the second round of today's discussion, celebrating cultural diversity. Viewers on YouTube, be sure to stay tuned until the very end. For Sultan Idris Education University students, link for attendance will be given out by the end of the discussion session. Be patient because patience is the key to success. All right, the focus for the second round will be a sharing from the panels about the cultural elements celebrated in each of the panels' country and also the similarities of the cultural elements celebrated with other country. Without wasting any time, let's hear from our first panel from Malaysia, Mr. Muhammad Iman bin Azhar. The stage is yours.
All right, thank you again. Thank you so much, Mr. Kao, for the good and great question. And before I start, I would like to share a fun fact to each and every one of you that did you know Malaysia calendar is dotted with a lot of holiday session with a number of cultural new year, religious celebration, and also a harvest festival that take place all over the country. And so for this round, I'm proud to share several events as an evidence of spirit of Malaysia multicultural identity that embrace all the festival by the community as a whole and celebrated nationwide, regardless of race or belief. And from my opinion, the real definition of Malaysia culture is the variety of the festival, with a mix of different races, religion, and culture. The truly Asia meaning is when all the Malaysian can celebrate a variety of a festival. And the similarity between all the festival from a different races and religion that I found is the open house concept. And I'm proud to share the culture and the concept where the various cultural and religious festival such as Chinese New Year, Hari Raya Puasa, Deepavali, Christmas, Taipusam, Wesak, where the family, the friend, and even the strangers that come from a different background, different ethnic, multiracial will visit the home of those who are celebrating the festival to wish them and enjoy the feast together that prepared by their host. And yeah, let's we start with the first one, which is Hari Raya Idul Fitri. The celebration is called Hari Raya Idul Fitri, and Malay or Muslim people will celebrate at the end of the month after a long fasting period of Ramadan. And then after that is Shawwal. In Malaysia, that's celebrated by first completing the Eid prayer, or also well known as Solat Hari Raya. And before we can enjoying the feast of various Malaysian food such as rendang, lemang, ketupat, kuah lodeh, kari ayam, and kuih raya, lots of dishes on that day. And for me, I believe that the best part and the climax part of the Hari Raya is when we ask for the forgiveness from our elders, our parent, our grandparent, our siblings, our auntie and uncle. And even we ask for the forgiveness from our friend from Malay, Chinese, Indian, and the others for all the wrongdoing and that we may have committed, and then we will get the money of Hari Raya. But the money is not the important part. But if they offering an envelope full of money, will not be proper for us to reject, right? So just take it lah, don't leave it. And that's for the first festival, okay? And the second festival that I want to share is a Chinese New Year, okay? What I like the most about Chinese New Year is this is the time when Malaysia will turn red, okay? All the Chinese living in Malaysia will decorate their houses, the street in Malaysia, all over the country with the traditional red decoration. And info that I get from my Chinese friend, the significant to decorate the red decoration in order to ward off the evil spirit, okay, in the country. And as a part of a 15-day long of the celebration, there will be a lion and dragon dance performance across all the country with the firework. And like I've been mentioned before, with the open house concept, the Chinese community also will organize the open house, and all the family members will invite their friends together, okay, from a different ethnic, from a different religion, okay, to cooking for a numerous dishes on the same day. And to be honest, I have such a great memories together during this festival also. And the last festival that I can share for this moment is Deepavali, or well known as Festival of Light. Okay, since the time allocated for me just 5 minutes for this round, so actually we have a lot of another festivals such as Taipusam, Christmas, Wesak. Okay, but let's we focus on Deepavali first. Deepavali is a festival celebrated by Indian living in Malaysia. Okay, this is the festival of light, and I have a large number of Indian friends. Even my closest friend is Indian, and they tell me that the significance of the festival of light is about the victory of the light and hope over the darkness. And every Indian houses and street all over Malaysia will be colorful with the light, with the oil lamp. And they also share their experience, how the Deepavali, the day of the Deepavali, the day will start off by taking the bath with oil and the praying. And the most best part that I can say the symbolize of the Deepavali is when the aroma of variety of the dishes such as curry, samosa, wadal, basmati with coconut will across the street. Okay, since my area where the Indian live in a large number, so they will pack the food and then will pass to me and my family. And so the conclusion of my sharing is this variety of festival season bring me a true message of the unity and hope to all the Malaysian. Whether we are Christian, whether we are Buddhist, Hindus, or Muslim, we all can celebrate together in a peace and harmony. And during the festival season, all the Malaysian can unite together and forget all the differences, all the conflict about the racial and religious conflict. And I think that's all from me. Pass back the floor to Carl. Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful sharing just now from Mr. Iman. It is undeniable that Malaysia's calendar is dotted with holidays representing various races and also ethnics, whereby they celebrate different kind of cultural elements in Malaysia. For instance, Hari Raya is celebrated by the Malays here in Malaysia. Chinese New Year is celebrated by the Chinese, and also Deepavali is celebrated by the Indians here in Malaysia. Undeniable, festive seasons is the seasons that bring us together. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Iman bin Azhar, for the wonderful sharing just now. Moving on to our next panel for today's program, Ms. Safwa Kamila from Indonesia. The floor is yours, Ms.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now I will explain some Indonesian culture to the audience and similarities with other countries. Indonesia has many festivals, one of which is the Nusantara Batik Week Festival in Pekalongan, Central Java, which lamprang and cement motif are the mainstay, batik motif at the events. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, there is also a batik festival celebration, namely at the October 1st gathering event, where there is a display of Malaysian batik, which has brighter colors and is more diverse with common animals and humans. Next, Indonesia also has the culture of the Kutai Kingdom in East Kalimantan, which was staged at the Irau Kartanegara Festival. This cultural festival in Indonesia to preserve the cultural heritage of the Kutai Kingdom Sultanate and is held in the middle of year, June until July, every 2 years in Tangerang City. The Irau Kartanegara Festival features varieties of attraction and activities. You can see series of the traditional Dayak ceremonies such as the Nyegahayatan to mark the planting and harvesting seasons. In addition, there are performances of typical Kutai dance such as the Japan dance and the Ganjur dance and traditional agility games such as the top. Even held in my country, I also like that even in Philippines, which is the most famous festival in Nara and Sukamarat, the abundant harvest with dance, various attraction, many activities. And that's all from me. I return to the moderator.
Thank you, Ms. Safwa Kamila, for the sharing just now about the celebration in Indonesia. What I can conclude is that Ms. Safwa is a proud Indonesian. Yes, Miss Safwa is a proud Indonesian. Moving on to our third panel from the Philippines, Mr. Emmanuel Mirus S. Ponan. Without further ado, the stage is yours, Mr. Emmanuel.
All right, thank you so much, Carl. So I'd just like to give a briefer for all for you to get where my perspective is coming from. We know how religion is very important in Southeast Asia. What we do is primarily influenced by the religion and demographic of the religion where they are practiced. With that said, I'll give you this fact. You know, if you're studying international relations, you understand that in Southeast Asia, we're mostly Hindu, of course, Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity. These are the four religions. Well, I understand that there are a lot, but these are the four that are merely recognized. What's unique in the Philippines is that the Philippines is the only country in Southeast Asia, in the 10 countries, that is Christian dominated. I just wanted to place that out of the way for you to have a perspective, because what we're talking about again is diversity. I understand that a lot of Malaysians are here today, and you may have this argument within you. How can I understand diversity in Southeast Asia if we cannot understand diversity in our own country? And I understand that's something that is a good argument. But going back, you know, when we talk about social beliefs and customs, I love this first question because these cultural elements are what makes unity essential. And so I was looking for a perfect festival. You know, we have a lot of festivals, really primarily local. You know, there's one in Cebu. You know that the Philippines is an archipelago. We have tons of islands, and I believe in every island, every day there's a new festival. But to make this simple and for you to actually relate, I believe everyone knows what Christmas is, right? Everyone knows what Christmas is. And Christmas in the Philippines is actually the longest because we start in September and we end until the second week of January. We know that Christmas was originally a Christian, you know, it was a Christian, is part of Christian history of how Jesus Christ in Catholic and Christian terms was born. And so we celebrate it from September because from, if you notice, from September to December, its last three letters are Ber. So we call it Ber months. So from September, you would expect if you're in the Philippines that in every mall, in every school, wherever you go, Christmas lights, Christmas trees, all what you expect in Christmas, whether you see it in Western movies or whether you have it in your countries, is there. And so Christmas to us is something very big. And I believe understanding this culture, this is where I would define what Filipino culture is. We're known to be hospitality. We're known to be very hospitable. But, you know, this is our core concept when it comes to being Filipino. Filipinos, again, are very hospitable. We're modest. We're courtesy. We really try to be of courteous. We're warm. We're respectful. And I believe this really comes out of character. You will, if you are more interested to know about the Filipino culture, I'll tell you this. We have a lot of overseas Filipino workers, and one thing that's very prominent, especially if you're into economics, is that Filipinos usually aren't the best when it comes to financial literacy, but they do always give. They would always give despite having nothing. And their goal is to ensure that all family members, regardless of rich or poor, get a piece of the pie of whatever is earning, regardless of what they earn or regardless of their savings. So, yeah, these are two facts that I would give you. I hope that would encourage you to look more about the Filipino culture. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the amazing inputs regarding the Philippines just now, Mr. Emmanuel. I was intrigued by the festive season that taking Christmas in Philippines starts from September until the second week of January. Here in Malaysia, we only celebrate Christmas in December. All right. That's the difference between the Philippines and Malaysia, and we appreciate it, the similarities of cultural elements that we share with other countries. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from our fourth panel for today's program, Mr. Muhammad Khairin Izan bin Haji Bol Hassan. The stage is yours, Khairin.
Thank, thank you, Carl. So before I begin with the festivals, I would like to speak about a few facts of Brunei. If you search on Wikipedia, Brunei Darussalam, the top two ethnic groups are Malays and Chinese, and the top two religion are Sunni Islam and also Christians. So our festival in Brunei are based with Malays, Chinese, Christianity, and also Islam religion. So, moving on, I'll be sharing five festivals that are celebrated here in Brunei. So the first one is Independence Day. Brunei's Independence Day is on the 23rd of February. I know it may sound like political, um, patriotism, but actually in Brunei we also incorporate um, cultural in our Independence Day, such as that we perform in front of our king, the Sultan, His Majesty, and with this performance we implement Brunei culture, Brunei music, Brunei arts, and also the languages and during the performance. And during this performance also we come together as Bruneians. So that is one of the cultural celebration here in Brunei. Next one, similarly to Malaysia, is Hari Raya Aidilfitri, which is a feast of the breaking the fast. During Hari Raya Aidilfitri, we dress in our traditional clothes, similar to what I am wearing and to what Iman is wearing right now. This is our traditional clothes. During Hari Raya, we also visit our family. So one cultural element is social gathering. So during Hari Raya, we gather with our friends, family, and during this time also we seek forgiveness, as what Iman mentioned earlier. So that is very almost maybe fully similar to Brunei and Malaysia. The third one is the Harvest Festival that is celebrated by another ethnic group in Brunei, which is the Dusun and Murut. And I also believe that this Harvest Festival, or also called as Adau Gayo, is also celebrated in Malaysia. And during this festival, they play traditional games, traditional music, and they also consume traditional food and drinks, which is another element of culture. The second last is Chinese New Year. Similarly to what Iman has mentioned, Chinese New Year is celebrated also in Brunei, but it is commonly celebrated by the second most ethnic group in Brunei, which are Chinese. So during Chinese New Year, they they gather together as a family and they feast together, which is another mentioned cultural element. Last but not least, similarly to the Philippines, Brunei also celebrate Christmas on the 25th of December every year. And during Christmas, they give gifts. They also gather together as a family. They feast together. Similarly to other celebration in Brunei, mainly it's social gathering and feasting, the cultural element, gathering and feasting. That is all celebration or festivals that is done in Brunei. There are more, but these are the top five that I can see personally. Um, that is all from me for this part of the topic. I'll pass back the floor to Carl. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Karin, for the wonderful sharing just now. What I can conclude is that Mr. Karin is a proud Brunei, and he also shared with us top five festive season in Brunei, which are first the Independence Day, second Hari Raya, Harvest Festival, and Christmas. All right, thank you for the session just now, Mr. Kairin. Last but not least, let us welcome our second panel from Malaysia, Miss Nurrana binti Aini. The floor is yours, Miss.
Okay, thank you so much, Carl. So before I jump into my point, I would like to give a brief introduction regarding ethnics in Borneo. So there are approximately 30 different ethnic groups in Sarawak. And aside from the three major ethnics in Malaysia, specifically Malay, Chinese, and Indian, we also have Kenyah, Bidayo, Kedayan, Lun Bawang, Penan, Salako, and many others. While in Sabah, there are more than 30 ethnics like Kadazan Dusun, Bajau, Bisaya, Melayu Brunei, and so on. So all of the ethnic groups has like their own culture, custom, traditions, and beliefs. But lucky me, my family and I will like celebrate two occasions every year. Every year, like first, obviously it's Hari Raya. It is a celebration for all Muslims after fasting for a month during Ramadan. And second is Hari Gawai Daya. Hari Gawai Daya is like the rice harvesting festival that is celebrated every year on the 1st June by the Dayaks. Sabahan also celebrates Harvest Festival, but it's called as Keamatan Festival. So like in Sarawak and Sabah, 1st June is like our annual holiday. Okay, so on Gawai Eve, the Iban or Dayaks community conducts miring. It is a Thanksgiving and blessing ceremony marked by offerings to the departed ancestors, spirits, and deities. And the ceremony invites the spirits to celebrate with the Longhouse community and is continued with open houses with family and friends. And the Dayaks will celebrate Gawai together at the communal area of the Longhouse. And the communal area is called Ruai. Ruai is like a kind of veranda but with larger space. Meanwhile, in Sabah, Sabahan during Keamatan, they give thanks to the gods and spirits for blessings and a good party harvest, asking for guidance. Then there is the Unduk Ngadau, a traditional beauty contest in which, of course, the fairest in the land will participate and a Keamatan queen will be selected. So for the second question, similarities of cultural elements celebrated with other country. First, I think the culture should be include our language because I think first and foremost, I think everyone's noticed and aware that our language and phrase is like kind of similar. For example, in Bahasa Melayu, me is saya or aku, right? And same goes to Bahasa Indonesia and Brunei. Like they use saya or aku as well. Meanwhile, in Filipino, aku is ako. Am I right? See, like, I mean, no wonder lah, we're like the Asian family. And next, I will bring up the family of textiles. So, like, all of us has our traditional attire, clothes, and all that stuff, including textile. Textiles, specifically songket, usually are used for making clothes and also as props for our traditional ceremony. Indonesian, from my research, Indonesian has their own unique and beautiful textiles such as songket. And like there are various types of songket, like Palembang songket, Minangkabau songket, right? Lurik, Yogyakarta, Lombok, Indek Bali, and I like fell in love so much with the pattern. And also Brunei has their own songket, and it is called as songket Brunei. Am I right? Yeah. And also we can't leave out Philippines' breathtaking textiles like Yakan and Tiboli. I saw the pattern on the internet and I'm like really fell in love. I really hope I can visit Philippines soon and buy some stuff with the pattern on it. So let's move on to the Malaysia. We have like various of songket. And the songket has its own pattern like songket Terengganu, Bate, and Puak Kumbu. Okay, I will share about you guys what I know about Puak Kumbu. Because like Puak Kumbu is one of Sarawakian national treasures. Puak Kumbu is the woven textile most readily associated with the Iban, made using a combination of ikat dyeing and backstrap loom weaving. Puak Kumbu is like unique in its use of fibers and dyes that are endemic to the jungles of Borneo. So we're like a family of textiles. I think that's it. Passing back to Carl.
Thank you, Miss Farhana. If in the first place, the first panel from Malaysia, Mr. Iman was focusing on the Hari Raya, Chinese New Year, and also Deepavali celebrated in Malaysia. Miss Farhana was focusing on things that are celebrated in Borneo, which are harvest festival, whereby they have the Unduk Nadau, they crown the queen, and also Hari Gawai, whereby they celebrate and appreciate things. Also, Miss Farhana highlighted that we are Asians, we are of the same kind by two aspects, which is language and also the textile fabrics you make clothes with. I see. I think there are many more aspects that we can be bound together, as in much more that we have to dig deeper lah. Later, you have to Google it yourself if you want to know. But what I can conclude from the second round in today's program, webinar celebrating unity, empowering cultural diversity, is that cultural elements celebrated by various race or ethnics, or also known as festive season, is the season that unite us. Without all this celebration, citizens of a country will not be united together. They will go their own way, and that is when a nation will fall. All right, wonderful. I hope viewers on YouTube can gain something from the sharing just now on our second round for webinar celebrating unity, empowering cultural diversity. Viewers who are still with us, thank you for still tuning in. Your loyalty is much appreciated. At the end of the discussion session, there will be a question and answer session. To those who have further inquiries, you may start your question in the comment section on YouTube. After we have gone through the first round, getting to know the panel's background, the second round, getting exposure on the cultural elements celebrated in each of the panel's country, it seems like we have come to the final round for today's discussion, empowering similarities of cultural diversity to enhance unity. In the final round, panels will share ways to empower similarities of cultural diversity from their point of view as an entity, and then adjust the suggested ways based on the challenges faced nowadays to enhance unity. For instance, what can you do as a student? What can you do as a leader of tomorrow? What can you do as a citizen for your beloved country? That will be the main focus for round three, empowering similarities of cultural diversity to enhance unity. Once again, viewers on YouTube, if you have any questions regarding today's discussion, feel free to put your question in the comment section on YouTube. All right, ladies and gentlemen, straight away, let's hear from our first panel from Malaysia, Mr. Muhammad Iman bin Azhar, on his opinion regarding round three. The stage is yours, Mr. Muhammad Iman.
All right, thank you again, Carl. But first of all, I'm really sorry, Carl, and the audience, if my camera suddenly stopped working. Okay, but let's be focused on this final round. And I want to take this opportunity to give some reflection moment, and let's wake up to the reality that we only can succeed only if all of us have a right a right mindset, the determination and willpower to implement it for a betterment and the survival of the world. And to be honest, I have personally discussed this question among my friends, and the best response I have from a friend of mine was that our strength in diversity of culture and the similarity should be our weapon to against racism or any crisis, because these issues are not a new issue. So we require a fresh perspective from the younger generation to overcome all the issues and all the crises. And we should ask the world, first, is this the type of the unity that we desire? First thing first, as a young generation, as a student, we should act as a cultural ambassador for our country and our society to promoting a unity in diversity through any initiative such as intercultural dialogue like what we have been doing today. We should thanks to the creation of various social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, where the individual from across the globe, from all the country, have the opportunity to interact with people, both side, inside and outside of their own community. And believe me, social media can bring the peace by encouraging the valuable dialogue between people from a different ethnic, religious, and also the background. And this dialogue can in turn can alter the attitude, can change the perception and increase the tolerance, also the mutual understanding between the ethnic group who will otherwise never have the opportunity to engage with one another. And based on the fact, as the largest domination of social media nowadays, a young generation should realize social media have a important role in uniting and to ensure the multi-ethnic society can live in a peace. And from the good use of social media, we can build a confidence, we can build a faith among the society, indirectly will change the society behavior to become more realistic, to lead and to influence the society toward the goals that we want to reach, which is multi-ethnic in this world can live peacefully and harmony. And starting for right now, we should train ourselves to continue sharing our experience and keep upgrading our knowledge on peace and cooperation in our own community. And we need to admit that there will be a lot of challenges, such as racism, bias, appetite, and we need to believe without unity, without consideration, without respect and care of others, there will be no solution for the crisis and issue. And my last hope for everyone is to still committed. We don't have to get along to always agree with everyone, but we have to be committed. There will be a moment that we can disagree, but if we committed, it will push us back together to sort our opinion. The value of our love, the value of our friendship, and the peace is far more important than anything else. And we should always remember that currently in Malaysia, we are focusing for taking a step to get know almost 250 ethnic and sub-ethnic group that classify as dan lain-lain in Malaysia. So my hope is just enjoy the process, just appreciate every moment together, and don't forget to always unite in diversity. That's all from me, Carl. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Muhammad Iman, I was intrigued by your sharing just now, whereby we can only succeed when we have the mindset to do it. If you would never, if you don't have the mindset to success, you will never reach there. So, if you want to succeed in life, you have to have the mindset to do it. Walk the talk. That's it. As a student, to lead and empower the youth is our responsibility. As a student, to lead and empower youth is the responsibility of us as the younger generation. As what have been said in the first round by Mr. Iman, youth Mr. Iman is a youth specialist that focus on empowering youth. Enjoy the process and live the moment. That is what I can conclude from what Mr. Muhammad Iman has said just now. All right, moving on to our second panel for today's program. It seems like Miss Safwa is excited to share her thoughts on the third round. Miss Safwa Kamila from Indonesia, the floor is yours, Miss.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell about how empower cultural similarity between nation and student. First, we can have webinars as we are doing now by calling cultural representative, getting to know international cultures. And second, as students, we can also empower it through art participation festival on campus and invite some students from other countries representative. And also showing age. And last, I would like to encourage unity in facing the challenge today. In the future, will be challenged to be faced such as a racist against other countries. So there are several ways to face challenge. First, appreciate every difference in any way. And second, keeping harmony and unity between nations. And last, implementing the thinking that every country has different cultures and they are unique in their own ways. That's all from me. I will return to the moderator.
All right, thank you, Miss Safwa Kamila from Indonesia for the brief, short, and most meaningful sharing on the third round for webinar celebrating unity, empowering cultural diversity. We must appreciate and also implement the idea that you are unique regardless of what you are, who you are, or wherever you are. Thank you, Miss Safwa Camila, for the sharing just now. Moving on to our third panel from the Philippines, Mr. Emmanuel Miros S. Ponon. Without further ado, the stage is yours.
All right, thanks so much, Carl. So, we are talking about how to empower this cultural diversity that's within. And my answer to that would be simple. We champion cultural diversity. Why? Because it's always going to be there. We live in a world where I see a lot of colleagues that would say, I don't want to leave my job. It's toxic. This is not where I should be. There's also going to be people that are going to leave and leave until they find their place. But the thing is, it's all about perspective. There's not going to be a perfect workplace. What do I mean by this? Diversity is always going to be there. And as we talk about cultural diversity, I'm sure that not everyone actually has a clear definition of what of how we champion cultural diversity. Because not a lot of people know what cultural diversity is. You can search it on Google, but for today, I'll only end this with three questions. Let's ask, what is cultural diversity, for a brief background. How do we become culturally diverse, and why it's important to be culturally diverse? All right. What is cultural diversity? My first point, we can look it up on Google. It's the quality of diverse or different cultures as opposed to monoculture, homogenization. These things are part of it. But if I were to give my definition, to put simply what cultural diversity is, it's basically accepting our differences, because again, all of us are different. The panelists mentioned earlier that there are already so many religions. You come from different families. You have different ethnic groups. Diversity is always within. The goal is to have an identity, correct? We want to be unified in order to harness an identity. And so this is where I give you the next definition: community. We all know what the word community is, correct? But do you actually know how we define community? A strong community has a shared vision, mission, and goal. And so, if this is the definition that we will be using, I ask you this: is your town strong? Does your town have a strong community? People in Myanmar would not say yes at the moment, right? Even I wouldn't say, because we're nearing the 2022 elections, and there are so many, and diversity is breaking us apart. I'm sharing this because this is the reality of diversity. It should be celebrated, yes, but not everyone uses it to the best extent as it should be. Do we just let diversity be as is because being different is difficult? No, we embrace it, we accept it, and we utilize it for development. I lead people from more than 20 countries. I work closely with ASEAN, and I would be lying to you now if I said that it was easy. It's difficult. Yeah, we have different perspectives of how an organization runs. We have different ideas. Some are symmetrical, some are not. These things are going to be part of where we are at the moment. I did not enter this conversation looking like an expert, because my goal was to make this feel like a student to another. But now I'm giving this lecture because we still tend to see this topic as a so-so topic. Because at the end of the day, stigmas are going to be there, right? We still stigmatize on people. Inclusivity still isn't met. And it's only us that has that capability to do so. So how do we champion cultural diversity? Number one is this: we communicate. You think it's so easy, but it's actually very hard. Are you an effective communicator? Number one, you need to listen and to have an open mind. Number two is, of course, to accept differences. Number three is to never force or mandate. Number four is to understand perspectives, my whole point earlier. And number five is to exchange ideas. We run a volunteer-based organization, and that would tell you that there is no incentive when it comes to the work that we do. We just believe in our vision. for a better world, for a better Philippines. And despite us being nominated in Forbes 30 under 30, despite us having global and international awards left and right, it still can make or break through communication. All right. A lot of people would ask me, your mission's very simple. I agree. Why don't other people do it? Because it's difficult. It's difficult to unite youth from 10 Southeast Asian countries. It is. And that's the reason why, for some, it's so vague to have these conversations at the moment. And that's why the stigma is present, where we have a hard time of working with other people, of trying to ignore and just looking for the perfect workplace where we are at the moment. And this is where leadership comes into play. But whether you are a leader or someone that is going to graduate and look for a job and want to be competitive worldwide or internationally, you have to understand that accepting diversity is required in becoming a successful employee or a successful leader. And so now that I answered these two questions, why do we champion this? Understanding that diversity is present wherever we go. Again, diversity creates effective and positive solutions if we use it to the best extent. Think of it as the United Nations, think of it as ASEAN or the European Union. When there is mutual interest, if there is mutual positivity on these two sides, we understand that that's where intercultural learning and intercultural solutions come into play. Climate change won't be solved by one country. A lot of you are climate activists. I know a lot in Malaysia are. I've spoken when you had your local conference in youth in Malaysia. I've spoken to these 10 countries and most of the universities. And I think one topic that we so all know is climate change. And I'll tell you this, it's not one country, not even the biggest nations, and the US or China is going to solve climate change by its own. At the end of it all, I know that it will come to a point where we have to be forcefully be united. But will we wait for that? Will we wait for climate change to be that factor for us to all unite? So again, this intercultural diversity that we have, it's really on the pursuit of something bigger than ourselves as a nation. It's the pursuit of sustainable peace, of harmony, and again, of development. Because if you know this quote, you really would have a glimpse of this. It's acceptance is an act of selflessness, of giving that changes the cycle and breaks the stigma of our world. And so, will we be nationally conscious to know that as needs come and come again, we understand our strengths and limitations? And so, with that said, I would always give these four D's as my last statement. I encourage everyone that listens to me to always dream deeper, to never be don't be discouraged, to do it and deliver. And I believe the last D is the most essential in this discussion. We dedicate this distinction of ours, knowing that we're distinct, that we're different. We use it for the better capability for others, recognizing that we are privileged to be in this Zoom meeting and not just joining the Zoom link, not just joining the Telegram link and not listening to this talk. To understand this privilege is to really exemplify the working culture that you want. So I guess I end this time of mine with the simplest of quotes. Be the change you want to see. Be the workplace that you would want where you would want as a first-time employee to be. Because everywhere we go, whether we just stick in our nations or whether we go internationally, expect diversity. So, will you accept it, or will you, try to run away and escape from it? Well, the answer's on you, and I hope that you choose the perfect answer for your sanity and fulfillment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for the wonderful sharing just now. From a student-to-student point of view on round 3 topic whereby we are discussing about empowering similarities of cultural diversity to enhance unity. According to Mr. Emmanuel, we champion cultural diversity. There is no such thing as perfect person, perfect situation, or even perfect itself. Diversity will always be there. Acknowledge it and live with it. Accept the fact that diversity will always be there. Celebrate it, embrace, and utilize it for development. Also, I'm intrigued by the sharing that Mr. Emmanuel has shared with us just now, whereby communication is the key for us to empower cultural diversity. We must have an effective communication. Therefore, although communication is the key, but comprehension is the actual key to be where you want to be the champion in your life, in your own life. You do you. Therefore, students who are watching this program on YouTube, will you be changed by the stigma or will you be the first one to make a change? That is from Mr. Emmanuel from the Philippines. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. Okay, moving on to our fourth panel for today's program. From a neighboring country, Brunei, Mr. Muhammad Khairin. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Carl. So I'll be answering the first question, which was the my opinion on ways to empower similarities of cultural diversity to enhance unity. So I have three simple points. The first one is to celebrate the similarities of cultural diversity together. The second one is to wish and greet to one another, as mentioned in the second topic, the cultural festivals that we celebrate and the similarities. So from what I have found was that we celebrate similar festivals, such as for Malaysia, Brunei, and Indonesia, we celebrate Aidilfitri together, and then Chinese New Year. And for Philippines and Brunei, we also celebrate Christmas together. So to wish and greet one another with a simple, Selamat Hari Raya, we actually empower, we bond together with these similarities of different culture. And the last point would be speak and interact with each other, such as right now, we educate each other about the similarities. We also educate each other with the differences. So the second question was, from my point of view, on the ways to enhance unity towards the challenges faced nowadays. And one example mentioned by Carl was racism. So the first one to reduce the differences is, as mentioned before, was greet each other. That is one of the simplest way to um, reduce these differences with each other. And then the second point would be, for racism, we try to avoid jokes that can be offensive. And let's say some people did make a joke, or a friend make a joke that could be offensive. Um, my suggestion is to reassure that targeted friend is that that joke is not meant to be taken as offensive, and educate that one friend or one person that made the joke, or if it's not meant to be a joke or a statement, that it could be offensive. We educate each other. And then the third point is to be genuine with each other. Um, the fourth point is share knowledge, like what we are doing right now. Last but not least is that we have to appreciate the differences that we have, the differences between each other. And before ending, I would like to say, to reduce these challenges faced today, is that everyone has a role. Everyone has a role to reduce these challenges. Everyone also has a role to unite each other. And I believe that is all from my side. I'll pass back the floor to Carl. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Muhammad Khairin, for the wonderful sharing just now. So, what I can conclude from Mr. Muhammad Khairin is that everyone has a role. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are currently. What matter is that what would you do to be the change for your life in the future. So based on Mr. Muhammad Khairin ideas for round three is that we need to celebrate, we need to wish and greet, and also we need to speak and interact with others to empower the similarities of cultural diversity that has been with us. We cannot deny the fact that diversity is there. Accept it and live with it. All right, thank you, Mr. Muhammad Khairin, for the wonderful sharing in round three just now. Viewers who are still with us, thank you for still tuning in. Your loyalty is much appreciated. At the end of the discussion session, there will be a question and answer session. If you have any question regarding today's topic, celebrating unity, empowering cultural diversity, feel free to ask the question on the comment section in YouTube. Without further ado, last but not least, Miss Nurul Farhana binti Aini, our second panel and also our last panel for today's program. The floor is yours, Farhana.
Thank you so much, Carl. So, for the first question and for this last round, from my perspective as a student myself who is responsible to manage and promote art and culture activities in college, I think that this kind of online programs play a really crucial role in enhancing our unity. Like, if you notice, not only college and universities are doing these online programs like webinar. For example, other administration like Malaysia National Department of Culture and Arts also did like acting class, theater workshop, and traditional dance competition on their Facebook Live. So like, even though we are from 4 different countries sharing about the similarity of our cultures, I myself find that this webinar actually a very advantageous platform for me to share about my culture, my traditions, and also I got to know more about you guys' culture as well. Like surprisingly, we have quite a lot of similarities in our cultures. Secondly, maybe we can represent multiple cultures in the learning environment. Because I studied education. Currently I'm pursuing education. So, like for me, a future teacher, for instance, teachers and students maybe can make posters and art from a variety of cultures and points of view in the learning environment to raise awareness of our cultural diversity. Like not focusing only in Malaysia, but for example, in Philippines, Filipinos celebrates many cultural events like Pahias Festival. And from not knowing this kind of celebration exists in Philippines, Malaysian, especially young generation, will aware of the existence, the awesomeness, and the uniqueness of the festivals celebrated by the Filipino. I think us, we regarding our regardless our age, should know that different people celebrate different holidays or festivals in their own unique ways. So move to the second question: ways to enhance unity towards the challenges faced nowadays. So I think I would say COVID-19 is the biggest challenge of all. Like because we're not free as we used to be. Like we have to stay at home, practicing social distancing, not allowed to visit certain places. Even events is allowed, but only with SOP. In Malaysia, we call it SOP, Standard Operating Procedure, because of the MCO movement restriction made by the government. But this is like kind of sad, but these things are made for the sake of us to protect ourselves. I mean, I'm sure there will be like variety of events held by some organization or associations from like different countries to enhance their connections and business, like maybe their products. And then, for example, international cultural festivals. So how to enhance our unity despite the COVID-19 pandemic? I think first is involve yourself as much as you can with online activities or programs. Like there are a bunch of virtual competitions, like, and if you're not interested to be the participant, maybe you can be one of the crews for the event, because like we'll meet and work with lots of new people. And if the events are like international level, it's like a huge chance for you to make new friends from other country, like now. And so for the event, we can't have meeting like physically, but we sure have a FaceTime, Zoom meeting, WhatsApp, Google Meet. I mean, like we can use all of these platforms to communicate and work. We also got to make friends and to learn, to get to know each other. And yeah, these things are unintentionally can like improve unity within us and the people we work with. So even though we can't visiting our other country to watch like their festivals, like Indonesian traditional festivals, but now I suppose there are many events that broadcast like live streaming on YouTube, and yeah, it's free. So like there's no reason that we can't watch the performance of other countries' traditional festivals despite these COVID-19 things. So just make a good use of all these online platforms and enjoy it. Yeah, I think that's all from me, from my point. Back to you, Carl.
Thank you, Miss Farhana, for the amazing and wonderful sharing for round three for this webinar, which is empowering similarities of cultural diversity to enhance unity. Miss Farhana, as a student who is taking education as her degree and also as a future teacher, say that by educating the youngsters about cultural diversity, we can create a mindset in the youngster's mind whereby it is okay to have differences in our life. We don't have to be similar. What we can do is that celebrate the differences and empower it so that we as a human being can develop into a whole new level. Also, according to Miss Farhana, due to COVID-19, our interaction face to face with each other is limited because we cannot see them directly because we are afraid of COVID-19 getting infected. We are afraid of getting infected by COVID-19. So, according to Ms. Farhana, involve yourself with the online program that has been with us since COVID-19 because engagement through the program that we involve ourselves can unite us. Utilize the engagement in each of the program that you join to maximize our unity as a nation full of diversity. I can conclude from this round three of webinar, celebrating unity, empowering cultural diversity, is that we can empower similarities of cultural diversity to enhance unity, regardless of who we are or where we are currently, as long as we have the heart to change and for a change to occur. That's what matters. As being said by Mr. Muhammad Iman just now, we can only succeed when we have the mindset to. If you never had the mindset to succeed in the first place, you will never reach there in your life. That is for round three, ladies and gentlemen. Viewers who are still with us on YouTube, if you have any question regarding today's discussion or regarding today's topic, you can put your question in the comment section in YouTube. All right, to sum up today's discussion, we can conclude that unity can be enhanced through cultural diversity empowerment. In round two, we get to know from our first panel that festive season is the season that unites us. Through Hari Raya, Chinese New Year, Deepavali, festive seasons that we celebrate is the key for us to be united in a country. Meanwhile, moving on to our second panel in the second round, she stated that you must embrace your cultural elements in your own country because you must be a proud citizens of the country you are residing. And moving on to our third panel, quoting what Mr. Emmanuel has said in round two is that you need to appreciate and accept the things that will happen. For instance, Christmas. Philippines is a country whereby it is Christian religion dominated. So we need to accept that some countries might be different from us and their celebration might be different from us in the way of they implement their celebration. For our fourth panel in the second round, Mr. Muhammad Khairin has shared with us that in Brunei, majority of the people there is Malay and Chinese. But then the cultural elements that they celebrate is Independence Day, Hari Raya, Harvest Festival, and also Christmas. While for Miss Farhana, in the second round, she stated that the cultural elements celebrated in Malaysia, not focusing on Hari Raya, Chinese New Year, or even Deepavali, she stated the things that were happening in Borneo as it is Malaysia, focusing on Sabah, Sarawak, whereby in Sabah you have the Harvest Festival, whereby the ethnic Dusun, Murut, and so on, they celebrate Harvest Festival. While in Sarawak, Gawai, they celebrate Gawai to appreciate the tradition that they have been celebrating from time to time. All right, that is what we can for the round two, and in round three, excuse me, in some we are exposed the ways we can do as an entity to empower the nation. And also, excuse me, it seems like I'm having trouble with my camera. Let me get this thing right. All right. So I can conclude in round three, we're exposed to ways we can do as an entity, as who you are currently or where you are currently, be it you as a student, you as a leader of tomorrow, or you as a citizen for your country. We have heard from Mr. Iman. We can only succeed if we have the mindset to succeed. Walk the talk. That's it from Mr. Iman. While from our second panel, Miss Sapwa from Indonesia, we must appreciate and implement the thinking that it is okay to be different. While for our third panel, in our third round, Mr. Emmanuel, quoting what he has said, will you be chained by the stigma or will you be the change for tomorrow? I like this because if you don't make the first move, there will never be the first move. So be the one who make the first move to empower cultural diversity to enhance unity among diversity, among nation full with diversity. Last but not least, I'm sorry, our fourth panel in round three, Mr. Muhammad Khairin said that we as a student can celebrate, wish and greet, speak and interact with others as a mechanism for us to empower cultural diversity. Also, to implement or to adjust the way suggested ways in today's problem is that we can greet them. We do not make fun of their physical appearance that could be offensive to them, as in, if you have a darker tone of skin, you do not make fun of that dark skin colored. Also, last but not least, our last panel for today's program, Miss Farhana stated in round three, as a future teachers, as a young adult, as a university student, it is our responsibility to educate youngsters about the cultural diversity that we currently have. We cannot avoid diversity. We must accept it and live with it. That is all what I can conclude for today's webinar. Before we proceed to the question and answer session, let's take a 5 minutes break. See you guys again after the commercial break. Stay tuned with us.
Welcome everyone. We are so excited to have you here today. Right now, we are at Aminurrashid Residential College, or in short KHAR, one of Sultan Idris Education University Residential
everyone.
College.
We are so excited to
In
have
this
you here
virtual
today.
tower, our student council committees. Welcome everyone. We are so excited to have you here today. Right now, we are at Harun Aminurrashid Residential College, or in short KHAR, one of Sultan Idris Education University Residential College. In this virtual tower, our student council committees will be showing you around the college. We're also going to show you some fun and unique things KHAR has to offer. KHAR offers 6 residential blocks for Sultan Idris Education University students to reside in, with Block 1 until Block 4 offered to female residents, while Block 5 and Block 6 for male residents. Each block can accommodate up until 288 residents with 10 houses per floor. All houses have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a sink. Parking lots in front of the blocks are also provided for residents to park their vehicles. One of KHAR's way of taking care of its resident welfare is by providing each block with a water dispenser machine. Residents can fill up their water bottles without having to go to the cafeteria. Vending machines are also provided for residents who has a knack for sweet drinks. In addition to a football field, KHAR also provides its residents with outdoor courts where they can play sports to fill in their leisure time. It also helps to promote healthy living amongst the residents. A college office can be found right before you pass through the gates to enter the residential blocks area. Residents can come to the office to report on facility damages to the administration for further actions. As a part of the Residential College Student Council, we have our own operational room situated at Block 5. Doubling as our workspace, we will meet up to discuss and brainstorm ideas together for future program planning. There are times where we will also do meetings at a cabin situated behind the college office with administrative staff for management matters. At the heart of each residential college is cafeteria. Residents can come to the cafe either to dine out or do takeout at one of the 8 eateries that sells a variety of dishes. Residents who wish to buy groceries can also do so at KHAR's Minimart, where they sell basic necessities such as toiletries and laundry detergents. Residents are also provided with self-service laundry at the back of the cafeteria. KHAR provides 4 washing machines and 5 dryers for them to use to minimize their time in washing their clothes. Other facilities at the cafeteria includes an ATM machine for residents who wish to withdraw cash and do banking transactions. KHAR's hall is situated on the first floor of the cafeteria and can fit up to 1,000 residents at one time. It is equipped with basic facilities for the residents' usage. Sport equipment and traditional costumes are also stored at the back of the hall in their respective rooms. Washrooms are also provided on both sides of the hall. KHAR Lounge, a lounge run by our very own Student Council committee, is situated in front of the hall. Residents can come hang out at the lounge from 7:30 p.m. until 11 p.m. to do their revisions or group discussion while enjoying a variety of snacks. When visiting KHAR Lounge, don't miss out on its trademark dish, the Odon Bowl. Transportation is also provided for students to commute around the campus. Residents can choose to ride the bus based on where it is heading to. as each bus has its own fixed route. The bus is scheduled to pick up residents every 30 minutes, starting from 7:30 a.m. up until 11 p.m. We hope you enjoy the visual tour prepared by Harun Aminurrashid Residential College Student Council. Stay safe and don't forget to wear masks. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to
Welcome everyone. We are so excited to have you here today. Right now, we are at Harun Aminurrashid.
I can hear destiny calling, calling out my name. Failure and dreams both offering, but both offering change. Surrender offers rest, but I die for peace. Don't need your protection, don't need no shield. Now watch me bleed. Now watch me bleed. Now watch me bleed. Now watch me bleed. The winds of life are blowing. It brings doubt like rain. But I would roar like thunder, and I would storm like hail. A rise and fall, both beckoning, both offer change. But I need a bolt of lightning and embrace the pain. Embrace the pain. Embrace the pain. Now watch me feed. Now watch me feed. Now watch me feed. Now watch me feed. Not an option. I will not just survive. Freedom is near. I choose to thrive. I will live full force, never on my knees. I will smash the door if I can't find the keys. I will not back down. I will not yield. Just like William Wallace, I need no shield. I am different. I am not the same. 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 I'm different. I am not the same. I am not the same. I am not the same. I am not the I can hear destiny calling, calling out my name. Failure and dreams.
All right, it seems like our commercial break has come to the end. Now let's proceed with the next session, question and answer. All panels, if you may switch on your camera, I would very much appreciate it. But first thing first, one comment on YouTube managed to grab my attention from Amir Dekan, whereby he stated that people are afraid of the unknown. We should focus more on bringing the best out of our culture since not everyone has the tolerance needed. to accept our cultural differences. So, meaning to say, we need to educate others so that they are exposed to our culture. And then, if they are exposed to our culture, who knows? They might have the heart to accept our culture. That is one of the comment from the YouTube session that has managed to grab my attention. Now, moving on to our question and answer session. It is it is known that I have recently uh, received information, instruction from the organizer that for one question discussed, there will be two panels answering the question. So I will give the question to whichever panels that are willing to share their thoughts on the question for today's program. All right, so the first question is that how to avoid intercultural miscommunication. How to avoid intercultural miscommunication. Mr. Emmanuel, if you may, can you share your thoughts on this question with us? Mr. Emmanuel?
All right. Yeah. Yes, Carl. I'd love to. I guess to answer that, it really goes into the first on what you have just mentioned with that very great comment that I actually also saw in YouTube. It's really to do your research. It's to know what the facts are and to understand these cultures. I know that we're taught to not just stick by theory, but also no, also actually get to be there, to walk in their shoes, and to actually be there physically, not just by theory, not just by what the textbooks tell us. But yeah, I think that's the first step in order to avoid miscommunication. Because once we get to really be, once we are educated and once we understand, that's where we'll be able to keep an open mind, and where we will, avoid miscommunication. Miscommunication is going to happen if you don't know the perspective, or if you don't know anything about that culture. If you don't know that, let's say, if I were to give an example, um, if you were in a church and you were to shout, and that would be culturally insensitive, and without you knowing that, or maybe, or simple things such as taking. I've been to most of the ASEAN countries. Whether you take off your shoes in a mosque, or any place that is holistic or is culturally sensitive to these countries, it's really important to be educated and to be vigilant. It's good to really read between the lines wherever you go, especially as a tourist. And that's something that we should always take note. Number two, we shouldn't jump into conclusions or to make judgments. Of course, we really have to read the room, and to make sure that everyone has a piece of the pie. Everyone has the chance to speak, whether it's in an organizational setting, whether you're in their country, whether it's a simple Zoom meeting. It's really good to let everyone to speak. Dictatorship can't really solve anything. Let them speak. To really just try to understand whether there's someone at fault, whether it's you that was victimized, or whether it was you that was enabled. It's good to be understanding. Going back to my example earlier, if it was you that broke, or was insensitive enough, or did not know what you did wrong, then you try your best to apologize, and you try your best to communicate that you didn't know that it happened. If you were the victim, you try to understand it in their shoes, and say to yourself, oh, okay, maybe just he or she or it just doesn't know that this is a problem. Second topic that I'd like to mention is the LGBT community. It's very sensitive to a lot of cultures. That's how, that's where cultures really clash, because we have so many beliefs when it comes to that. So you really, to avoid miscommunication, it's really on the speaker and the receiver. It's on the listener. It's on the speaker. You try to balance it out, and yeah, you just really be vigilant. It's not going to be perfect. Don't expect that perfect communication to happen. Because the first step to championing cultural diversity is to communicate, right? So expect that to happen. Expect miscommunication to happen, but don't let that be what will break off the diversity that we have as a stronghold. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for the wonderful thoughts on the question just now, how to avoid intercultural miscommunication. Mr. Emmanuel stated that try to be in their shoes, communicate with each other, and comprehend the situation. Although it might not be perfect, but expect the perfect communication. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. So, still the same question, how to avoid intercultural miscommunication. Mr. Muhammad Iman, if you please share your thoughts with us on this question.
All right, thank you so much, Carl, and thank you for the question. And yeah, over the past of 90, almost 90 months, we have demonstrated how the rakyat or citizen of Malaysia, regardless of race, color, ethnicity, or location, can be united in the face of the common hardship. All right, unity is critically important when the nation facing a public health crisis such as pandemic COVID-19. So sometimes we don't really don't really know the value of something until it's come to hardship. And over the year, I'm also witness how the national disaster and the pandemic can bring together Malaysian of all the races to help the victim and their family. And also similar, when it's come to national sportsmen and women, have united all the Malaysian when they take on their opponent in the international competition. And I'm still believe to answer this question, we need to give the forms and substance to our spirit of the unity that existed since during the early year of our independence in 1957. And even the latest 64 years of Merdeka celebration, we only have demonstrate how we care of one another and appreciate unity. And yeah, we must to continue to nurture the reinforce that spirit in what we do and how we think and how we behave so that we will keep the spirit and will fulfill the hope of our generation and the future generation of Malaysia or other country. And the most important thing is when it comes to any conflict or issues, we must always to remember the sacrifice that the older generation have made to develop Malaysia nowadays to what is today, and it must not be forgotten. And we need to also always remember about our principle rukun negara. And I believe in Indonesia they have the Pancasila as the national ideology. And when we have the ideology, the national ideology, something like rukun negara and Pancasila, it will ensure its rightful role in building our united nation. And that's all for the answer. Thank you, Kang.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Iman, for your thoughts on the question just now. What Mr. Muhammad Iman has said is that if you have the mindset to be the change, you can be the change. All right, what a wonderful answer for our question just now. How to avoid intercultural miscommunication. All right, now we are moving on to our second question. This question is dedicated for Kyrene. All right, in your opinion, how do one make, how to make one country be united, especially country that has more than one culture? The stage is yours, Mr. Muhammad Kyrene.
All right, thank you, Carl, and thank you for whoever who asked the question. I only have a little answer, which is to, as a whole country with multiracial or multi-ethnicity, is to show each other hospitality, and I would like to say maybe avoid discrimination with one another. Those are the only 2 points that I can say for that question at the moment. So yeah, thank you, and I'll pass back to Carl.
Thank you for your thoughts on the question just now, whereby you need to avoid discrimination and learn to accept the things that have been living with you since you were born. All right, so still the same questions, but this time I would like to have Miss Farhana to answer the questions. Miss Farhana, in your opinion, how to make one country be united, especially country that has more than one culture?
Okay, thank you, Carl, and whoever asked this question. So in my humble opinion, like I want to, as Kyrene stated earlier if I'm not mistaken, at round two, he said that why don't we greet each other during a celebration? Like if you're not celebrate Christmas, why don't you visit them and like just say hey Merry Christmas to them, Sama Hari Raya to them, and like we have to embrace the difference, not like fighting and something like that. We have to embrace our difference, our culture, and embrace everyone. So I think that's all for my points. Back to you, Carl.
Thank you, Miss Farhana, for your thoughts on the question just now. Embrace the difference, learn to embrace it. All right, so for our next question, it seems like we have a fans for Mirus and Iman. I'm sorry, for Mr. Emmanuel and Mr. Muhammad Iman, since there is a question dedicated for both of you. The audience on YouTube need answer from you. But first, let us hear what Mr. Muhammad Iman has to say about this question. What is your advice towards some citizen in your or other country that tend to claim some of your country culture are yours and other country does not have the right to celebrate the culture?
All right. Thank you so much, Carl, and thank you for the question. Okay, for me, this one is a very important question since the cultural exchange and appreciation are the core value of the unity in diversity. And to answer this question, we need to understand a culture that is a different than your own, and it's so important to we understand for becoming a global citizen and a leader. Isu pertembungan budaya about the cultural clash issue. So to avoid this cultural clash and claiming issue is when we can differentiate between appreciation and also appropriation when we do a self-reflection. So how we can do a self-reflection to know that issue about the cultural or maybe cultural clash or maybe claiming and the other issues is just something that we be able to understand the differences and so we can determine what is important in the cultural across the world. And if you realize that a specific aspect of your own cultural background is a central of your identity, okay, the first step you need to realize that there is a specific aspect in your own cultural background. It will become your central of your identity, and you will not to offend someone else without understanding fully what is mean, what the similarity, what the differences. Actually, you need to distinguish first between our culture and your culture, and we need to consider that we share the world, and people over the world maybe have culture that's similar to us, and even then your own. And my first advice is to self-reflection, and my second advice is to listen and learn first. Okay, one of the best way to understand and appreciate another culture is by we need to listening, and we need to learn about the culture. We need to listen to their story, the history of how the culture can be implemented and adapt in their country. We need to understand the implication behind the aspect of their culture, and maybe what the source of the culture. And if we understanding, it will broaden our worldview, how the culture work, and we are sharing the same culture, but basically it's a different one. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you, Carl.
All right, thank you, Muhammad Iman, for your answer for the question just now, whereby we need to appreciate, understand, and reflect, and know that differences are meant to unite us. If all of us are the same, what can we celebrate? What can unite us if we are all the same? All right, we would like to hear from Mr. Emmanuel regarding this question. What is your advice towards some citizen in your or other country that tend to claim some of your country culture are yours and other country does not have the right to celebrate the culture? Mr. Emmanuel, if you please.
All right, thank you so much for that question. It's something that I understand why people would ask, because there are some things that we want to be for our specific culture, and there's some that we want to share. Of course, when it comes to how we talk to our gods, especially when it comes to faith, we have different practices, and some don't appreciate that, right? Some really would have these personal things and would say, "Hey, why are you doing this? This is not. Why are you wearing our costume? Why are you wearing why what we are wearing? That's our culture. You're not one of us." And I believe this is, I would understand when it comes. There are some there are some cultures that I would understand, but there are some things that we should actually be proud of. Sharing this culture, these practices of ours is actually something that we are proud of. I go to Malaysia, and I went to Malaysia, and not just the Twin Towers, but I got to wear what their traditional clothes, and I wear it because I love how your culture. I love the country. Malaysia, truly Asia it is. When I go to Thailand, I try to be with them. I try to go to the farmers, and you really get to be with them. I'm a very weird tourist. I'm a tourist that doesn't go to where the main attractions are. I actually want my goal when I go to these countries for free, when I represent my country or when I go to these events or speak in these events, is to really try to live what they're living. And so, going back to the question, I understand that there are some times that we tend to want our respective cultures to be, to be closed doors for us, but our cultures are there for us to make it open and to actually celebrate ours. You can go to the Philippines and you can eat our food. You can whatever. For example, we in the Philippines, despite me, I am honestly a Catholic. I'm a Christian, and we celebrate Idil Adha, Idil Fitr, for example, as national holidays, and we respect and celebrate with them in these regards. So I understand why some, especially those some that are really conservationalists, that would restrict you. But what I would really advise is to, again, it's to be open-minded. It's not. I would understand that if your culture was being disrespected, but if it's being celebrated, if it's being accepted, if it's someone that actually is willing to learn and be one with you in this culture of yours, then why say no to it? Culture is not kept. It shouldn't be, for me, our cultures, regardless of what it is, it shouldn't be, we shouldn't be selfish about it. It's meant to be shared. It's meant to be for others. And so once we accept that, and because it follows the same theory and logic of you not wanting to be open to other cultures. But this is the whole point of today. We have to be diverse. We have to accept this diversity of ours. So yeah, I mean, let's celebrate cultures. Let's never disrespect them. I understand that some would be conservational because of some that who do disrespect and stigmatize. But yeah, we're here for one another. We should be here for one another. We should be there to celebrate these diversity of ours. Let's not see it as competition, and we should see these as gifts, as fruit, as labor of our history that we still celebrate today. It's culture for a reason. It started with people that had actually the same mission, that actually saw the beauty of this culture. And for me and to maybe you to that gets to experience these cultures, you're more welcome to. In my perspective, if I were a cultural officer in any of your countries, I'd accept that. I would let you actually walk into our culture and embrace this culture of ours, and maybe be one of us when it comes to this. So yeah, this is why this webinar is being conducted, because there are still a lot of stigmas. There are still a lot of challenges that have to be faced when it comes to, facing diversity. But that's why we're here, and that's why I believe all of us here in the panel said yes to this, because not only do we want to share our culture, but we want to share and make you feel, despite us being this virtual platform, share what we are experiencing and what we're happy with to you as well. So yeah, I'm very happy here. I'm also a participant. I'm learning from my fellow panelists, and yeah, this is the beauty of ASEAN. This is the beauty of our nations, and yeah, that really comes with an open mind and open heart when it comes to dealing with exclusivity and inclusivity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for your answer towards the question just now. Salamat po. All right, so what I can conclude from Mr. Emmanuel answer is that culture shall not be kept, but it is meant to be shared. Be open-minded and be proud of whoever you are, wherever you currently are, or whatever cultural elements that you are celebrating. All right, that's it for the second question for this Q&A session. Moving on towards the third question for Q&A session. This time I will dedicate this question to Miss Safwa Kamila. The question is that the word unity defined as a state of being united or joined as a whole. Hereby, I want to ask about how does unity helps a society to grow? Miss Safa, the stage is yours.
Okay, now I would like to answer the question. According to me, unity brings good impact in society. It helps people to understand each other more, and of course, it will make a society grow better. For example, can you imagine a country with no unity at all? Yes, it will be broken. Broken, I mean, here is it won't be a peaceful country. People will fight and war will be everywhere because no one is respecting each other. Now, imagine the country as society. That's why, in my opinion, unity will make society grow better than it was. That's all for me. I will return to the moderator.
What an interesting answer from Miss Safwa just now. Miss Safwa said that people will fight, but after the fight, you will find peace. Peace that can unite us. That is how peace helps a society to grow, as in the unity we receive from the peace after a fight. That is what helps us as a society to grow. The same question will be dedicated to Miss Farhana. The word unity defined as a state of being united or joined as a whole. Hereby, I want to ask about how does unity helps a society to grow. Miss Farhana?
Okay, thank you, Carl, for the question. So, in my opinion, well, nothing can grow alone. Like, if you want to grow your business, you want your team members, employees. If you want to grow your family, you need your partner. So, and if you want to achieve something like huge in your life, you need to work together. As it says, if you want to grow and want to go far, then you need to move together. So, it is really important that unity like really helps us to grow. Not only that, unity also works in oneness. Like, unity gives us freedom, unity make us win, we all can work, we all have the capability to start like business. And but by working together we can win individually, like, and also like in one group, because we are like one, but together in unity we are like ocean. In this world you will meet different people, and every different people will know something that you don't know, but hence by understanding each other we people can learn through each other. So yeah, that's it from me. Back to you, Carl.
Thank you, Miss Farhana, for the wonderful answer just now. In life, we will meet people from all walks of life. The differences that they bring toward us will help us to grow as an individual. So when we grow as an individual, automatically we will grow as a society. Thank you, Miss Farhana. All right, seems like we have another question. The next question is for Mr. Muhammad Khairin from Brunei. Since Mr. Muhammad Khairin is involved in leadership, so the question would be, how do the value of unity can be applied through an organization? If you please, Mr. Khairin.
All right. Thank you for the question, Carl. So the question was, how do we unite how the value of unity in an organization. Is that correct? Okay, so in my opinion, unity is really important to feel safe, and because teamwork is important, how do we apply unity in an organization? The first one is to build trust one another. Um, Without trust, we won't feel safe. We won't have teamwork. We won't trust each other basically. And in an organization, to unite, we have to speak honestly. We have to be transparent with direct communication. And also, I would like to add that we have to treat each other equally in an organization to unite us as one. Um, yes, I believe that is all from me. I'll pass the floor back to Carl. Thank you.
All right, what an amazing and simple answer from Mr. Kyrene just now. So, how does the value of unity can be applied through an organization? Can be applied through teamwork and trust. Based on the teamwork and trust that you apply in an organization, you can make yourself feel safe in there. So if you feel safe, you can work effectively, you can work, and then the quality of your work will improve. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Kairin. The same question also will be dedicated to Miss Safwa. How does the value of unity can be applied through an organization from your point of view as a soon to be teacher? Miss Safwa, the stage is yours.
Wait a moment, please, Miss Carl.
All right, it seems like Miss Safa is having a problem on her end. So, if by chance I would like to pass this question to another panel, Mr. Emmanuel, would you like to answer this question? How do the value of unity can be applied through an organization? Mr. Emmanuel?
Yeah, for sure. I'd love, this question is very relevant because um, unity is what makes or breaks an organization. There's a reason why there are a lot of courses, undergraduate courses, all centered around organization and management. That's why business management and other management courses are all there, because there's not going to be one theory or one answer or one solution to solving a team. It doesn't happen overnight, and it depends. So this is more of a team management question. And as someone that leads more than 3,000 youth advocates all around Southeast Asia, it's really the first thing is to know is to for the is your goal is for them to understand why they're there, is to because if you're in an organization and you don't know what their mission is and why you're there for, then your purpose in an organization ends. So unity is what makes all of these things very important, because it is what would keep you going. I've been in organizations where everyone wanted to resign because um, the culture wasn't great, the environment wasn't great, it was toxic, as what was mentioned earlier, and that happens at times. So it's really unity that would make sure that your company, whether it's a small company or organization, to be sustainable. It really does. It doesn't mean that all of you should work. It doesn't mean that all of you should be the same. And that's where diversity enters. You may be different, but you are united with the organization's goal. And so that's what we've been trying to do in AYA and the ASEAN Youth Advocates Network, to be there, to be the center for community engagement and participation, and to instill the ASEAN identity. And so we would always say in our orientations first that, hey, we understand that you're joining us, whether for a personal intention. You may be here just for a certificate, just to have clout, and just for you to say that you're part of us. You can say all of these. We understand that. We want to embrace and we want to be genuine with that. But our goal at the end of the day is, once they leave our organization or serve or work already, once they graduate college, is that they understand our mission and they believe in their mission. And I believe that's what is very unique within our organization. So um, that's basically how I would put all of this into it. So I understand that boundaries are there. I understand that to unify is different. I know that there will be personal conflicts, organizational conflicts, you wanting to be bigger, you wanting to have a higher position, bureaucracy, it all plays the same. It's funny because the last question, it's all about this inclusivity, diversity. I have a mastery class for this. I also have a mastery class on how to build a dream team and how to make sure that unity will always be there. But yeah, it's very essential. Um, so I end with this quote. The strength of the team is each individual member. The strength of each member is a team. And to have a team that actually believes in what you're doing and why you're doing these things is what makes unity very essential. So, to make this relatable and to end, since I'm having a long answer to this, in a group work, in a thesis, in a project, whether you're three in a group, you hate when one doesn't do their job once you don't give them, once they don't fulfill their responsibility, right? It sucks. It's something that we hate. So you're whether the team is two, whether the team is three, or whether it's 1,000 or 5,000, your goal is to make sure that all of them are on the same page and that your individual interests come forth when it comes to unity. So why is unity important? Would you choose to work on a team that isn't unified, that will give you longer results, not the most effective and efficient results, or will you choose to make sure that the internalities, what's in a team, becomes so significant that that makes you have a more effective and efficient way to work and to have a result that is going to be bigger than what you have expected. So that's how I would put unity in a nutshell.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for the answer just now. So, the value of unity can be instilled in an organization when you understand why you are there, regardless of the differences that you have. So, when you understand the main concept, why you are involving yourself in an organization, any differences, you will not look at the difference. You will find the similarities among the members in the organization, because an organization is the center of engagement for others. All right, Miss Safwa, are you available now? Still the same question, how the value of unity can be applied through an organization from your point of view as a soon to be teacher. If you please, Miss Safwa.
Okay, now I would like to answer your question. According to me, we can apply with various ways. First, respecting and understanding other cultures. Nowadays, so many cultural appropriations happens around us in other place. It will spark a war inside everyone's hearts because that is example of social devastation. That's why we need to respect and understand other cultures as the form of appreciation for them. And then is to listen to other people and learn about their culture because culture unite people together. Maybe that's all for me. I return to the moderator.
All right, thank you, Miss Safwa. Miss Safwa stated that we need to respect and understand others. We need to respect them if we have poor appreciation towards them, and we need to understand them to gain exposure on things that we are lacking. All of this can be done by listening. So when you are in an organization, listen to what others have to say and respect and also understand what they are saying. That is how the value of unity can be instilled in an organization. All right, it seems like our panel from Malaysia, Mr. Muhammad Iman, is keen to answer this question. Mr. Muhammad Iman, still the same question. How does the value of unity can be applied in an organization? The stage is yours.
All right, thank you so much, Carl. Okay, I would like to answer this question since I'm the type of person that love to live and also serve in organization. And believe me, for your organization to achieve peak performance, you need to operate as a smoothly functioning with unity system. Okay, and I know there is always a challenges where people have a miscommunication and the others conflict, but we need to understand how the organization development is the process to building a unity and to improving the teamwork. So I would like to share some knowledge for us uh, to overcome the conflict and how to ensure that the unity can become one of the major factor for our organization to achieve a peak performance. Okay, the first one is with unity, we can have to have a good, it will have to ensure that we will have a good organization design. What is organization design? Is about the restructuring position. Okay, with the unity, we can have and make a personality assessment. It will be the indicator to help all of us to understand each person have their own unique style of thinking, feeling, and acting. So people with the personality assessment, it will help we to assist or assign someone to ensure that they can have the work role that fit with their personality type, and they will be more effective, they will be okay. And this tool is also important to ensure we can hiring someone that can make the job done so well in the future. So this is one of the important factor what the unity will help the organization development. And the second one is about the organization design. Yes, after we have the personality assessment from the unity process, we can have a good organization design, because with the unity and when we understand everyone have a unique style of thinking, of feeling and acting, it will also improve the functionality and also the flexibility of your business, of your government, or maybe a non-profit organization, NGO, and the others organization. And by at the end of the day, with the greater flexibility, it will help you to always adapt with the 21st century, with the fourth industrial revolution, fifth industrial revolution, and it will become more smoother because you understand each other. You as a one united whole, and you move as a one team. All right, that's all from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Muhammad Iman, for the answer just now towards the question. So, each person is unique. You are not the same with anyone else. So, if you understand the uniqueness in every person in an organization, the performance of your organization will be superb. The quality that you can deliver will be outstanding. Thank you, Muhammad Iman, for the answer just now. All right, moving on to our next question for Mr. Muhammad Khairin from Brunei. So the next question would be, will there be a joyous coming together of everybody? Do people actually appreciate the rich texture of their existence which come from diversity? Do they see the value of diversity? Meaning to say, this question is highlighting, will people ever appreciate the diversity that we have now?
All right, thank you for the question. I believe, from my own opinion, once they have felt the teamwork, the unity of everyone that makes us stronger together, I believe they would, what was the word? They would really appreciate the unity of everyone, the diversity. Um, you know, as Farhana mentioned, nothing goes alone. So I believe until one day they felt together as one, as a unity, as a human being, they would appreciate this unity and diversity. I believe that's all what I can say for the moment. I'll pass back the floor to moderator Carl. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kyrin, for the answer just now. People will embrace diversity when they will learn to when they learn to accept the fact that diversity has been with us. Diversity, or also known as the differences, is what unites us as a society. If we are all of the same, what can unite us? What differences can we celebrate? All right, still the same question, but this time I will be dedicating this question for our second panel from Malaysia, Miss Farhana. Will there ever be a joyous coming together of everybody? Do people actually appreciate the rich texture of their existence, which come from diversity? Do they see the value of diversity itself? What is your thoughts on this question, Miss Farhana?
All right, thank you, Carl, for the question, and I know who asked this question. Thank you too. So I think the answer for this question is, of course, yes. Like they and Malaysian do see the value of diversity. Like we celebrate and visit each other during celebrations, during festivals, regardless of our gender, religion, ethnics, and races, and all of this. Like, and also I want to give an example. Like in Malaysia, not only Malay women wearing baju kurung, we also have Indian, Chinese wear baju kurung when they go to work, when they go to school. Like it is officially like our formal attire in Malaysia. And yes, they really see the value of diversity. Malaysian, yes. And I think all people from other countries also like we value our culture, and this thing really unite us. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Miss Farhana, for the answer just now. Learn to value the diversity that you have in your country. It doesn't matter if you start from baby steps, because from that baby steps, it can be something bigger in the future. All right, last question for today's question and answer, coming from one of our audience in YouTube. Does the customs and cultures in each culture will remain or change as technology progresses over time? Meaning to say, will these customs ever change based on the time the technology progresses? All right, so I would like to hear from Mr. Emmanuel for the last question. Mr. Emmanuel, if you please.
Hello, what's the question again?
All right, so the question is, does the customs or cultures in each culture will remain or change as technology progresses over time?
All right, so here's my first point. Culture changes as the world changes every day. We understand that the only thing constant in this world is change, but we understand that culture is slowly. It slowly changes, and sometimes you don't even change it. Whether it's a good culture and a bad culture, there's bad culture when it comes to corruption, when it comes to these pressing issues, and how we solve them. It doesn't happen overnight. It really takes a long time, right? So that's number one. Culture is something structured. It was founded through many years, many decades to what it is today. I would always say this: the culture that you want, it's all the cultures that we see today, whether it's the good or the bad, it starts small, and it's also how it changes, whether for the good or the bad. And so, where does technology fall into this? We understand that um, culture today, because of technology, is more accessible to all, right? That's something that we can search through the web. We can see journal articles here and there, whether it's a sculpture or whether it's the Petronas Towers or whether it's our cultural outfits. It's easy to see in the web. So digital transformation definitely plays a part when it comes to culture. And so it's really more on the digital literacy, the point where I want to place this answer to go. It really does depend on us. Are we literate enough to know that it is really up to us, the user, the consumer of the digital platform, to use social media and the internet effectively to our culture, or will we use it for the contrary, for the bad? Will we use this digital transformation that we are at to celebrate and actually unify and share this culture of ours, or will we use it to discriminate and to stigmatize others? So it comes into play. Again, we're in a new platform. We're in the digital world has truly changed us, really affected our culture for the good and bad. And so but I will tell you this: it's only us, it's you, the user, the digital user, that's going to have that decision on what to use these things for culture. For example, fake news. Fake news was built around the digital future. So what will you do about it? Will you continue to let people, or will you continue to be part of the fake news that is becoming spread? Or will you want to be that solution and be that change, or be that individual amongst others that would disregard and fight against fake news? So all these things in common, yeah, digital transformation definitely plays a role. And understanding this, understanding that culture takes a toll, and culture takes time, it takes years, it takes decades. What it really does, at the end of it all, I believe this is something that is going to be personal to all of us. What culture do we want our country, what culture do we want our university, our society, our community to be in the next 10 years? We don't wait for the next 10 years, we wait for now. So do we want a more verbalized, or a worse coming when it comes to cancel culture, when it comes to fake news, when it comes to these bullying? Do we want to have all of these in the future? Yeah, again, do we act on it? Do we advocate for it? So it's really on us to use this platform that we have now for the good and bad. And that example, again, is this webinar, is this opportunity for us to talk about these things. So at the end of the day, the consumer and the enablers of the culture of today and tomorrow is us. And so we are the ones that will be responsible and accountable for what happens to these cultures and traditions of ours for the next 5 to 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for your answer for the question just now. So, changes take time. Culture is slowly changing in accordance to the progress of the technology nowadays. Although you might not feel it, but every year, every year when you celebrate something, you will notice that there is a small changes from the way you celebrate it from last year. So all things, even the culture itself, start from small, and then it will eventually grow big and be more relevant as the technology progresses.
Carl,
Yes, Mr. Emmanuel.
I just want to add this last thing because I just thought of it for now. We have these traditions, we celebrate through celebrations. What's new? We use our phones, we post it on Instagram. We have family traditions, we have our cultures, and we post it on stories. We use our phones. So, yeah, again, that's one example of where our digital transformation is leading us. Yeah, I just wanted
Yes.
to let that out.
Definitely, Mr. Emmanuel. So, as you see, our ancestors, they do not have smartphones in their time. They do not take picture. But us nowadays, the way we celebrate the cultural elements, we take selfies and then we share it to others as a sign of telling others that we are celebrating that cultural elements. All right, still the same question, but this time I will be dedicating this question for Miss Safwa Kamila from Indonesia. Okay, Thus, the customs and cultures in each culture will remain or change as the technology progresses over time. Miss Safwa, the stage is yours.
Okay, now I will answer your question. According to me, I think it will remain in use because globalizations help us to spread our culture to everyone around the world. It will be a good impact for younger generation to know more about their culture. That's just my opinion. I will return to the moderator.
Okay, it will be decided based on what the youngster will take action. Will the culture change or remain the same? It is up to the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you, Miss Safwa Kamila. All right, since this is the last questions, the organizer has requested that she wants each of the panels to give their answer for these questions. All right, moving on to our next panel, still the same question. Mr. Muhammad Iman, does the customs and cultures in each culture will remain or change as the technology progresses over time?
All right, thank you so much, Carl. I will make it short. Okay. Basically, yeah, I'm agree that technology has dramatically improved. Okay, as a youth activist for a digital era and for the adaptation and the improvement of our industry revolution in Malaysia, and also the youth activist for the culture for Majlis Belia Malaysia, actually is something that what I can say is we need to adapt. Okay, no one can escape from becoming dependent on the technology, on the digital. Okay, now we are living in the world of chaotic and chaos where the culture must and should be always be keep fresh in the world of technology, and we need to find a space. Okay, we need to find opportunities how to use the technology and the digital era to facilitate our life while we keep the culture to always be keep fresh in our society. Okay, like have been mentioned before by another panelist about normally today we have a new aspect of the technology and facility. We have a smartphone, we have a social media, we have a lot of sources, okay, to make a promotion, to do something to encourage people to always appreciate about the culture, about the unity and the other thing. And if you realize something that this digital era and this technology has removed the physical barrier and the border between the culture. Now we can talk, now we can sharing the idea, we can share the culture, and actually this is how it's work. We need to use the technologies as a opportunities. Kita perlu dalam bahasa Melayu ni kita perlu menganggap dia sebagai sebuah peluang bukannya ancaman. That's all from me, Carl. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Muhammad Iman, for the answer towards the question just now. So, eventually, things will change, even people change. So, you need to adapt. We need to adapt. The culture need to adapt in order to be relevant in the future. All right, that's from Malaysia one. And then we would like to hear from Brunei, Mr. Muhammad Khairin. What is your thought on the question just now?
All right, thank you for the question and thank you, Carl. So, in my opinion, from what I have observed in Brunei, is that due to the easy access of internet and technology here in Brunei, we are slowly fading the culture, unfortunately. Um, I would like to talk about one example, which is Hari Raya, Idul Fitri. So, from what I observe from generation that is younger than me is how they dress, their fashion and everything. Due to this technology, the way how they dress is more westernized than what we are usually dressing up as. Even myself, when older people see myself as, they would think also that I'm kind of westernized. So it's the same domino effect. I'm seeing younger generation seeing their westernized, older people would see me more westernized from the way how we dress, one example for from Hari Raya dress, in terms of the women, their dresses are more, um, how to say, it has less Malay element to it. That's just one example that I can put up for now. Yeah, it is currently changing, and unfortunately, I can say it's reducing. Um, and evolving to other culture instead of emphasizing on what we have right now. Um, yeah, that is all from my point of view. I'll pass back to Carl. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kyrene, for your answer just now. So even culture changes. You see from how people how people dress, they are more engaging with other cultures in the way they dress. That is the simplest example that you can look around you. All right, last question and last answer we will be hearing from our last panel for today's program webinar celebrating unity, empowering cultural diversity. Miss Farhana, if you may.
All right, thank you, Carl, again for the question. So for me, remain or change, I think it doesn't change because like we're like more to modernize them. Like as Kyrene said, we like westernize them, modernize them to like a more Western culture. So, but we still wear them in wabi baju kurung, baju Melayu, because in Malaysia, like I said earlier, it is our formal attire. And I can give one more example that is Zapin, our Malay traditional dance. Like Zumba, the our like workout, Zumba workout. Because like nowadays there are instructors who make who make Zapin step as our workout. So I mean I think it doesn't change, but like we're modernized them. So yeah, it's all for me. Thank you.
All right, Farhana, thank you for the last answer. For the last question, to put it simple, culture adapt as the technology progresses to remain relevant for the youngsters nowadays. Because if it is not relevant, the youngsters will not practice this culture in their daily life. That is the last question for today's question and answer session. We have come to the end of our discussion session. On behalf of the organizer and also as the moderator for webinar celebrating unity, empowering cultural diversity, I would like to apologize for any wrongdoing while navigating the discussion. Apologize are not meant to change the past. They are meant to change the future. My name is Carltasius Edwin, and I'm signing off as today's program moderator. Thank you for joining us, and have a nice day ahead. Back to the mistress of ceremony, Miss Chia.
Okay. Hello everyone, Shah here. I'm back. So thank you for our dear guest moderator, Mr. Carl, and also the guest panelists for the beneficial sharing. I hope the audience out there can take some input or some takeaway from this beneficial sharing. So this event will end with a photography session that is handled by the Media and Publicity Committee.
Assalamualaikum and hi to everyone. I am Ong Huzaini bin Ongzal, member of a media and publicity committee. We'll conduct the photographic session. For the photographic session, always a request to turn on their camera. Please be ready.
Mr. Emmanuel, it's photography session.
Okay, in count 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more time. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, next we will take a freestyle version. So everyone ready? And 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more. In 3,
All right, it seems that's it from the photography session.
Okay, sorry because I just click another button. Okay, one more freestyle. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Okay, so the photography session marks the end of our program for today. So thank you for staying with us until the end of the viewing. So gentle reminder for audience out there, please do not forget to fill in the form in the chat box or in the comment section in the YouTube live. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you and see you again.
Kepada seluruh warga UPSI.
Thank you guys.
Untuk memastikan kita.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you guys.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you guys for
Bye.
Thank you guys.
Bye everyone.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
guys.
You too. Have a nice day.
Saling menghargai, saling berbudi, sanjung tinggi tradisi.
Akademik dan akhlak terpuji, seimbang dan gemilang. Engkau dan aku maka berpadu, mewarna cipta yang sama.
Genggamlah tanganku, laukanlah segera.
Kita semua nada warga setia.
Janji terpatri, megah terajui, isi pendidikan negara. Ayo cemerlang bersama, dengan semangat membara. UPSI di puncak persada. Ayo cemerlang bersama, dengan semangat membara. UPSI di puncak persada.
Telah tercipta sebuah sejarah, kehebatan gedung ilmu yang indah, sehingga melonjak tamadun dunia, menjadi lanskap yang sempurna. Di sini berpulang